Factorio is one of those games people casually describe as digital crack, and for the first couple hours I genuinely understand people who just don't feel this way. You mine some rocks, feed coal into ugly little machines on a pretty ugly dirty landscape, craft basic parts by hand, and somehow this is one of the highest rated games on Steam. But then something starts clicking for you. You automate one annoying job, then another, and before long the simple factory game turns into something completely deranged. The beginning can be pretty rough honestly. There's no story pulling you forward, nothing flashy on screen, quite the opposite really. And it looks kind of ugly at the start too, let's be honest. Of course, this ugliness does turn into charm later on, but it needs time to grow on you. You'd wonder why people go on and on about this game, and that confusion is totally fair, especially since the game does only click with you once the refund window on Steam is gone. The opening doesn't try to impress you, but then you realize you don't have to keep mining iron by hand forever. Simply put down this mining drill, connect it to a furnace with a belt, and the plates just show up on their own. Do the same for gears, copper, circuits, and the whole game changes. You're building a process that crafts them for you. But why is this fun? There are at this point many games like this. Well, there's much more to this in Factorio of course. Take a look at the science system the game runs on for example. You don't unlock the upgrades for free, you have to manufacture the pack's research needs. The red science is simple, green science needs a bigger setup. Chemical science pulls you into even more production, and each tier pushes you to expand further. This is probably the point where the real hook shows up for most players. Your science packs stop moving, so you trace it back and find you're short on gears. You're short on gears because you're short on iron, and iron is low because the furnaces are not fed fast enough. You fix that, then the power grid can't keep up. And somewhere in the middle, the copper line quietly falls apart, without you noticing. Fixing one thing always exposes two more. This loop is basically why people lose entire evenings to this game. Your base can get very messy too. It can really turn into a shit factory that you have to fix. And you want to fix it, because it's your personal very own project. Belts crossing belts, pipes jammed into odd corners, a line stuck somewhere, simply because there was room at that time. Eventually you unlock construction robots and blueprints. Save a layout you built, drop it somewhere else, and robots fly out and build it automatically. Now a factory is building the robots that build more factory. You went from mining ore by hand to running a system that expands itself. Trains show up once resources are too spread out for belts. So you're managing rail networks and signals that keep the trains from crashing into each other. Circuits go even further, letting you wire machines together so the belts report what they're carrying. And inserters switch on or off based on conditions. Many players never need to go that deep, but it's there. You can play this game with the mindset belt goes here. Or you can say, I have now constructed this automated control system, regulating supply based upon network-wide inventory signals. That was fun. The power climbs from coal to solar, batteries, and eventually nuclear, meaning reactors, heat and steam turbines, instead of one building you set and forget. Of course, everything you build pollutes too, and that eventually reaches the local wildlife, which turns aggressive as your factory grows. So the bigger your base gets, the more defense it needs, meaning more turrets, ammo, and resources spent protecting what you already built. The scale really shows once you aim for the rocket, the main goal in the base game. One launch needs 100 rocket parts, and each part needs 10 low-density structures, 10 rocket fuel, and 10 processing units. That's 1,000 of each, with its own production chain behind everyone. There's also a massive paid expansion called Space Age, adding 4 new planets, each with its own strange production problems, plus space platforms for traveling between them. But that's DLC stuff. None of this makes Factorio quite flawless. The opening really is slow, the learning curve gets very steep fast, once trains, fluids and circuits show up, and combat stays fairly shallow, next to the production side. If you want characters or a story, there isn't much here for you. The important thing is Factorio doesn't suddenly become good, because a machine starts doing the work. If that was the case, then all the other games with automation would also be as addictive. It becomes good because every system you build creates another problem you want to solve, another bottleneck you want to chase, and yet another reason to make the factory bigger. Of course it does help that the price has always been reasonable. So what starts as a few belts and furnaces slowly turns into this ridiculous machine that only exists because you designed every part of it. It feels personal. And somehow, even when the factory is already working, there is always one more thing you want to fix. It starts off looking painfully simple, and then turns into one of the most dangerously absorbing games you can play.